you are expert on NATO bases, and so how do you see the effect that these bases have on the people who are living around the environment and so on?
Well, we are concerning now, I think, the problem of the new military base, correct?
Yes, this is very correct.
Well, yes, from the information we have in the same town in Kursk, there will be a new nuclear plant and also a new military base of NATO. In particular, I have studied the impact of the military base. So I can say for sure that all the military base, they create pollution, and in fact the cleanup of a military base, obligatory for law, is a big problem, and regard some situation in which the pollution is very dangerous and problematic. In particular, the water is polluted, and sometimes the pollution of the water, of the underground reserves of water, lasts for years and years. The pollution regards also, of course, the ground and the air. Then there are other kind of pollution, like, for example, the so-called noise pollution for the movement of airplanes. Of course, these are the local consequences of the presence of a military base, but then there are the military consequences, because these new military bases are offensive, so are war bases. And of course, I mean, in the other countries, the countries that are under attack, the consequences are not only environmental, but really destructive.
How do you see Slovenian government, which is telling that this is not going to be a military base but only an airport? How do you see this government speaking for this problem?
Well, it's very difficult to believe today the governments. The resistance against the military bases is increasing in all Europe, but not only Europe. For example, I've been in Okinawa recently, in which the Japanese movements, they blocked the new constructions, the new military bases, with demonstrations that they happen every day. There is a resistance in Poland, in Czech Republic, a big movement in Vicenza in Italy. So it's very difficult today to believe the government. Generally, these constructions are progressive. So one day they build one piece, let's say, and the year after there is a new military project, and so on, so on. So let's say that in generally these constructions they last for years.
But still the politics, they are all the time saying to the people who are living near the bases or will be living near the bases that they will have profit from this, they will have development and so on.
Let's say that instead of believing the governments, that generally they do propaganda, and the militaries they also use the lies, it's better to see what the military bases they created in other situations. And in the other situation they created pollution, in some cases very heavy pollution, like the base of Aviano. They polluted the environment badly, especially the water, but not only. There are consequences that tomorrow there is a conference I will explain. They concern also the agriculture. I have studied, for example, the economic problems the military bases they bring, because these structures, they cost a lot of public money, and then other costs they arrive with the cleanup and so on, so on. Generally, when the base is closed, in fact, the job places they increase. So there are ecological problems and also economic problems, because these bases are, let's say, very expensive, and also, for example, energetic problems, because the bases, they need a lot of energy to work. So I don't know if there is a link or not between the construction of the new base and the construction of the new nuclear plant. But I don't know if there is a direct link, but for sure we can say that the military bases, they consume a lot of energy. And today we are in a political context, political ecological context that is characterized also for the wars for oil and the climate change. So we need to consider all this, let's say, aspect.
You know, the countries where the NATO bases are, like perhaps we will have base in Slovenia. Will the Slovenia have to giving money because of this
I see now.
Yes.
Well, yes, sorry, it was a technical. Well, let's say that the military expenses in Slovenia, they had already to increase because of joining NATO. So this is public money. But of course, there will be new expenses. This is for sure. For example, the Slovene groups, they will have to study how much European Union money will be used for this military project, how much the military expenditure will eventually increase, and because generally the governments are very clever, let's say, they try to, like in the, let's say, Worst Administration Council, to put these expenses in, let's say, in chapters that are not immediately visible. So, from my experience, the military bases, they cost a lot of money, and I'm sure that also this base will not be an exception, but a confirmation.